Ever noticed that the most confident person in the room is often the one who's perfectly happy leaving it? If you crave solitude, you're not antisocial. You might actually possess a rare set of powerhouse personality traits that most people spend a lifetime trying to build. Have you ever noticed that collective sigh of relief you feel when a plan gets canceled? You're supposed to go out, put on the social mask, and navigate a room full of small talk, but suddenly the evening is wide open. For most, that's a lucky break. But for a specific group of people, that moment is more than just a relief. It's a homecoming. We live in a world that is obsessed with the extrovert ideal. From open plan offices to the constant digital ping of social media, the message is loud and clear. Being out there is winning, and being in here is, well, a bit suspicious. We've attached some pretty heavy labels to people who prefer their own company. We call them loners, recluses, or antisocial. But if we peel back the layers of that narrative, we find something far more empowering. Choosing to be alone isn't about a lack of social skills. It's about a mastery of the sacred social battery. Think of your energy like a high-end smartphone. Most people keep dozens of apps running in the background. Peer pressure, the need for external validation, and the frantic search for a crowd to blend into. These apps drain the battery fast. But when you embrace solitude, you start closing those background programs. You realize that your social battery isn't a bottomless pit to be gifted to anyone who asks. It's a finite, precious resource. This is where the shift happens. You stop being antisocial and start being pro-soul. When you value your solitude, the first thing you gain is a radical new relationship with time. To the person who loves being alone, time isn't just something that passes, it's a currency. You become acutely aware that every hour spent in a fake conversation or at an event you don't care about is an hour stolen from your own growth. This isn't about being cold or rigid. It's actually quite breezy once you get the hang of it. It's the lighthearted realization that you don't owe your minutes to mediocrity. You start showing up to things on time because you respect other people's clocks, but you also leave when your battery hits 10% because you respect your own. This lifestyle creates a beautiful paradox. By being loners, these individuals actually become the best friends you could ever have. Why? Because they don't need you to fill a void. They choose you because you add value to their already full life. There is no hidden agenda or codependency. When a solitude lover gives you their time, it's the highest compliment possible. It means you are more interesting than the fascinating conversation they were having with themselves. There's a certain lightness that comes with this. You're no longer tethered to the exhausting need to be liked. You aren't scanning the room for approval, because the only person whose approval you need is currently sitting in your chair, drinking a coffee and enjoying the silence. This is the foundation of self-respect. It's the sacred part of the battery. The understanding that your peace is worth protecting at all costs. You begin to treat your own company like a luxury retreat rather than a lonely basement. So, the next time you find yourself craving a night in or choosing a solo walk over a crowded happy hour, don't apologize for it. You aren't missing out. You're tuning in. You're learning the art of the sacred social battery, ensuring that when you finally do plug back into the world, you're doing it with a full charge and a genuine heart. Once you've mastered the art of protecting your social battery, something miraculous happens. The world stops feeling like a chaotic wall of noise and starts feeling like a symphony you can actually understand. When you stop running away from yourself and start sitting with yourself, you enter a phase of life we like to call finding the signal in the silence. In our modern world, silence is often treated like a vacuum. Something uncomfortable that needs to be filled immediately with a podcast, a scrolling feed, or background television. But for those who cherish solitude, silence isn't empty. It's full. It's the laboratory of the mind. When you remove the external static of other people's opinions, expectations, and energy, you finally begin to hear your own internal frequency. This is the birth of true self-awareness. Many people spend their entire lives reacting to the world like a leaf in the wind. They feel a spark of anger and they shout. They feel a wave of sadness and they hide. But as someone who thrives in solitude, you develop a different superpower. Because you spend so much time in your own head, you become an expert navigator of your own emotional landscape. You start to see your thoughts not as the truth, but as data. You realize that I am feeling anxious is a very different statement than I am an anxious person. This distinction is the key to a breezy, level-headed life. Think of it like tuning a radio. Most people are stuck between stations, hearing nothing but white noise and wondering why they feel so stressed. By leaning into your aloneness, you are precisely turning the dial until the music comes in crystal clear. You know your triggers, you know what makes your heart race with excitement, and you know exactly what drains your spirit. This clarity isn't a heavy academic burden, it's a liberating lightness. It means you no longer have to guess why you feel the way you do. You have the signal. This deep self-knowledge leads directly into being remarkably level-headed. Life is always going to throw curveballs. Cars will break down, deadlines will loom, and people will be difficult. While others are getting caught in the distraction trap, venting on social media or spiraling into drama. The person who likes to be alone does something different. They retreat. To the outside world, it might look like you're withdrawing or avoiding the problem. But in reality, you are heading back to the laboratory. You're taking that stressful situation into your quiet space, laying it out on the table, and looking at it with that clear-eyed self-awareness you've built. You ask yourself, is this worth my peace? How can I solve this without losing my signal? Because you've already done the internal groundwork during your peaceful hours, you don't panic when the storm hits. You've built a mental lighthouse. Furthermore, this clarity allows you to understand those around you with much more grace. It's a funny thing. The better you know yourself, the less you are offended by others. You begin to see that most people are just struggling with their own static. You become the calmest person in the room, not because you don't care, but because you are so grounded in your own reality that the turbulence of others simply can't knock you off balance. In the silence, you find your why. You find your resolve. And most importantly, you find that you are a pretty reliable person to depend on. When you find the signal, you realize that the most important conversation you will ever have isn't with a crowd. It's the one happening right now in the quiet between you and your own soul. Finding the signal in the silence is just the beginning of the journey. If you're ready to take that internal clarity and turn it into a total life transformation, I've designed something specifically for you. My ebook, 30 Days to a Better You, is a step-by-step guide to mastering your habits and sharpening that inner focus we've been talking about. It's about building a version of yourself you're proud to spend time with. Check the link in the description to start your 30-day shift today. There is a specific kind of magic that happens when you stop asking the world for directions and start looking at the map you've been carrying inside all along. When you spend a significant amount of time in your own company, you don't just get to know your thoughts. You begin to develop a profound, almost rhythmic relationship with your intuition. This is the compass of gut and heart, and for the person who prefers solitude, it is the most reliable navigation system ever devised. In a crowded room, it's easy for your inner voice to be drowned out by the shoulds of society. You should want this promotion. You should like this person. You should be interested in this trend. But when the door is closed and the phone is away, those shoulds lose their power. In the silence, your intuition finally has the floor. It's that subtle tug in your chest, or that quiet yes or no, that rises up when you aren't trying to please anyone but yourself. This is where the breezy nature of the loner's life truly shines. While everyone else is frantically checking their GPS, looking at influencers, polls, or the opinions of friends to decide their next move, you are moving with a quiet, steady confidence. You don't need a committee to approve your life choices. Because you've spent so much time observing your own patterns, you've learned to trust your gut instincts implicitly. Whether it's a career shift or a new relationship, you move when your heart says go, and you stay still when it says wait. It's not about being impulsive, it's about being aligned. But here is the most beautiful twist. This self-reliance doesn't make you cold or detached from the world. In fact, it makes you one of the most deeply empathetic people on the planet. It sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? How can someone who spends so much time alone be better at understanding others? The answer is simple. Because you've explored the depths of your own heart, you recognize the echoes of those same feelings in everyone else. When someone is hurting, you don't just offer a Hallmark card sentiment. You feel the weight of their sorrow because you've sat with your own. You recognize their joy because you've celebrated your own in the quiet. Your solitude has given you the emotional bandwidth to actually hold space for someone else without trying to make it about you. Yet, there is a boundary to this empathy. A healthy, necessary one. This is the never codependent aspect of the solitude seeker. You can walk alongside someone in their darkest hour. You can offer them the shirt off your back and the most compassionate advice they've ever heard. But you do not need them to be okay for you to be okay. Your happiness isn't a parasite that needs to feed on someone else's presence or approval. This independence is incredibly refreshing. It means that when you love someone, you love them from a place of strength, not a place of lack. You aren't a half person looking for another half to make you whole. You are a whole person sharing your abundance. Prefer to do things your own way, not out of arrogance, but because you've tested your own methods in the laboratory of your alone time, and you know what works for you. Living by the compass of gut and heart means you are never truly lost. Even if you find yourself in a completely new environment or facing a daunting challenge, you don't panic. You simply get quiet, check the compass, and start walking. You move through life with the light, effortless grace of someone who knows that no matter where the road leads, they are traveling with a guide they can trust themselves. As you grow more comfortable with your own company and begin to trust that internal compass, you eventually reach a crucial realization. Your peace of mind is a high security estate, and you are the only one with the keys to the gate. This is the stage of designing the no-fly zone. It's the process of establishing healthy, clear boundaries. Not as a way to shut the world out, but as a way to define exactly where you end and the rest of the world begins. For many, the word boundary sounds harsh, like a barbed wire fence or a keep out sign. But for someone who thrives in solitude, a boundary is actually an act of kindness, both to yourself and to others. It is the breezy, honest acknowledgement of your own limits. When you know yourself perfectly, you stop feeling the need to apologize for what you can and cannot handle. You realize that saying no to a draining social obligation is actually saying yes to your own mental health. This isn't about being rigid. It's about being faithful to yourself. Designing this no-fly zone starts with a radical sense of honesty regarding your strengths and weaknesses. While the rest of the world is busy faking it until they make it, trying to appear flawless in every social setting, the person who loves solitude has already had the difficult conversations with the person in the mirror. You know where you shine, and you know where you stumble. You might be a genius at deep, one-on-one strategy but feel completely overwhelmed by the chaotic energy of a networking mixer. Instead of forcing yourself to fix that supposed weakness, you simply build a boundary around it. You choose environments that honor your strengths, and you politely decline the ones that demand you be someone you're not. This self-knowledge creates a unique kind of confidence. When you hold your head high, it's not because you think you're perfect, it's because you are comfortable with your imperfections. There is nothing more attractive or grounding than a person who isn't trying to hide their cracks. By being open about your need for space or your limits on social interaction, you actually give others permission to do the same. The no-fly zone also protects your values. In the quiet of your own space, you've had the time to decide what truly matters to you. Is it integrity? Is it creative freedom? Is it deep, authentic connection? Once these values are set, your boundaries become the guards that protect them. You never feel truly alone because you know you always have yourself. And that version of yourself is someone you actually respect. You become the person who can look a toxic situation in the eye and say, "This doesn't align with who I am," and then simply walk away without a second thought. If you can't be faithful to your own needs, how can you ever be a faithful friend, partner, or colleague? By respecting your own boundaries, you teach the world how to treat you. You let people know when they are about to cross a line, and you do it with a lightness that avoids unnecessary drama. You aren't attacking them. You are simply informing them of the rules of your airspace. In the end, the no-fly zone isn't about isolation. It's about curation. It's about ensuring that the people and ideas that do make it past your boundaries are the ones that actually belong there. When you curate your life with this level of intention, your energy stays high, your spirit stays light, and your social battery is never wasted on things that fly under your radar of importance. You realize that by protecting your inner world, you make your outer world infinitely more beautiful. After navigating the quiet laboratories of self-awareness and drawing the careful lines of your no-fly zone, something transformative happens. You don't just become a person who is okay with being alone. You become a person who radiates a specific, unmistakable quality. We call this the glow of the genuine self. It is the final destination of the journey, where your solitude stops being a practice and starts being a presence. A breezy, effortless confidence that changes the temperature of every room you walk into. This glow isn't the flashy, loud, look at me energy that we often see in the world. Instead, it's a quiet, steady light. It comes from the fact that you have finally achieved the ultimate human victory. You have fallen in love with the person you are when no one is watching. When you possess genuine self-love, you stop being a seeker. You aren't seeking approval, you aren't seeking a missing half, and you aren't seeking a mask to wear. You simply are. This state of being makes you incredibly courageous. Think about it. Most of our fears are rooted in what others might think of us or the fear of being rejected by the group. But when you are your own best friend, those fears lose their teeth. If a challenge arises or a risk doesn't pan out, you know you have a soft, safe place to land within yourself. This gives you the courage to face adversity with a smile and a shrug. You become a role model for others, not because you're trying to lead, but because people are naturally drawn to the freedom you exude. They look at your independence and think, I want to feel that comfortable in my own skin too. Because you are no longer operating from a place of lack. Your interactions with the world become filled with kindness and compassion. It's one of the most beautiful ironies of the loner's life. The more you enjoy your own company, the more love you have to give to others. Your kindness isn't a transaction. You aren't being nice to get something in return or to make people like you. You are being kind because your own cup is so full from your time in solitude that it's naturally spilling over. You demonstrate compassion because you understand that everyone is on a difficult journey, and you have the surplus energy to offer them a hand. This is where the meaningful connections mentioned at the very beginning come into full bloom. When you show up to a friendship or a relationship as a genuine personality, the connection is electric. People can feel that you are being real with them. You don't have hidden agendas, you don't play games, and you don't use people to escape your own boredom. You are there because you want to be there, and that makes your presence a gift. Possessing these traits makes you a unique individual in a world of copies. While everyone else is trying to optimize their social lives, you have optimized your inner life, and the results are visible to everyone. You've realized that there is always room to improve, but you approach that improvement with a sense of excitement rather than shame. You work hard for your success because you want to see what you're capable of, not because you're trying to prove your worth to a stranger. So if you're someone who loves to be alone, wear that like a badge of honor. Your solitude has forged you into someone courageous, empathetic, and profoundly self-aware. You've built a life that is light, breezy, and grounded in truth. The world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs more people who have found their inner fire in the silence and aren't afraid to let it glow. You are proof that the most incredible journey you can ever take doesn't require a passport or a crowd. It just requires the courage to sit quietly in a room, all by yourself, and realize that you are in excellent company. Do you recognize this glow in yourself? Which of these traits has changed your life the most? Embrace your unique path and remember, your light is brightest when it's fueled from within.